From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you into this Monday's edition of For the People on September the 25th, 2017. Many of you have been great supporters of something that has meant a lot to me, and that is a man who I revered for, decades, and a guy named Chuck Harder, who started For the People decades ago, mainly starting out in the town that I'm doing this broadcast from. It's a city, really, but it's a town for many people that may have lived in New York or bigger cities, but Tampa, Florida. And Chuck was a benevolent father to me after my dad died. Chuck took me under his wing and really was just there for me. And in the later part of his life, I've been able to be there for him. And we did the show together in the beginning, and we relaunched the program on Live 365. And the show has grown since then. We've had many partners across the country, radio stations that have been very generous with airtime. We expanded the broadcast, 3-4 months ago to 2 hours, and a lot of stations jumped on the opportunity to say, "Hey, we're gonna air the 2 hours," and they've expanded that on some FM radio stations, and we've just been overwhelmed with the acceptance, and because of the mission of For the People and how important it is, I have pretty much made For the People my own. And occasionally would bring on Chuck after his medical issues with some flashback programs. But some stations said, we need newer content, we need fresher stuff, and so we decided to just do that and made it available on our website or different videos and all that where people could actually get Chuck Harder for those diehard fans. And that's something that's going to be a reality at chuckharder.com. If you're a diehard fan of Chuck, in development, that's what it will be. It's not there yet, but that domain will be available for anybody that wants to listen to past programs, and it'll be great quality. Just having to sift through the tapes, making sure, it sounds great. It'll be broadcast quality, but it will be available online, and we'll have announcements on our social media. Today, and I don't want anybody to say that it's supposed to be a sad day or anything like that, because I'm not feeling too bad about it at all. I talked to some friends about it and some mentors of mine in radio and broadcasting and just different radio groups, but I had to make the decision to kind of hang up my jacket, if you will, and just say, look, I'm done. I'm not throwing in the towel. I'm just hanging up my jacket, so to speak, for a second until I can figure out a few things in life here. And I'll tell you what the overwhelming reason was. And I don't know if you would think that this would be important, but I happen to. If you have one of these, I have a wife that actually suffers from severe fibromyalgia, and it's gotten only worse. And she loves what she does, but she's not going to be able to work much longer just because of this debilitating disease. It's gotten worse through the years, and it's going to require more of me helping out financially and just more of me helping her out. So that's going to require a lot more of my time. So that's really the number one reason why I'm doing this. I mentioned, financially, I'm going to have to step up to the plate more. We do all right together. Not phenomenal, but I'm just going to have to concentrate more on my voiceover endeavors. I sit in for talk show hosts across the country. Pat Campbell on Clear Channel and several other, the Schnitt Show out of New York, and several other broadcasts that I'm asked to sit in. So I might be doing more of that to stay in radio when somebody will invite me on their broadcast, which I'm always honored to be able to do so. It's nice to know people that are in the industry that appreciate my delivery, my take on things, and I appreciate the great opportunity to be able to come to radio stations like yours. And today will be officially the last day of Keith Allen hosting the For the People broadcast. And I apologize. We decided today is going to be the last day due to just some signaling that we were given. And it just felt right to be able to do it. So we are no longer going to be carried by Liberty News. However, we will have some announcements for the people and the organization later on our website at forthepeopleshow.com. But we appreciate Sam Bushman, Jay Harrison for their kindness to be able to facilitate the broadcast and everything that they do there at Liberty, all the great fine programs that they provide. They've done a stellar job. So, again, I can't say enough great things about these folks. And Sam was telling me yesterday that had it not been for Chuck, he wouldn't have been on the air. It inspired him so much to the fact that he took to the airwaves, and many others have been able to do this. The very Mark Levin, it's a national talk show host. He was a frequent guest of Chuck Carter. Pat Choate did a show for many, many years after being a co-host on For the People with Chuck, and so on and so forth. So many other careers that were forged because of a great man, and he paved the way for a lot of people in his message. So that was a great inspiration for me as a young man in my 20s to join Chuck's organization with For the People. Now, we're going to talk about some other things today, and one of this stories that I'm going to talk about is something that we've seen all over the country play out, and on the camera is why everybody's protesting all of a sudden. You know, many of the players are very critical of President Donald Trump in his speech, weren't very, very happy about telling the owners if these SOBs on the field are kneeling, then they need to fire them. Problem is there's owners that are doing this in what they call solidarity. I was talking to my daughter about it. She really heard about it, but didn't really understand what and why they were doing this on the field. I'm looking at the Dolphins locking arms as a team, and 5 members of the team, including 4 starters, took knelt during the national anthem. And all over the country, I'm looking at teams that have done the Chargers locking arms. Some of the players just sat down. They didn't kneel. They just didn't rise up, so they didn't take the field. Some people didn't even come out at all. Some players wore shirts in support of former 49er quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who started the protest in the first place. A lot of people say they're doing this because of Donald Trump, and I'm thinking to myself, this has been going on longer than Donald Trump, just for your information. This has been going on when Barack Hussein Obama was in the White House, because that's when Colin Kaepernick started doing it. A lot of people are just alluding racism, basically saying that the national anthem is nothing more than a recruitment tool for Uncle Sam at the ballpark or at the football field. That's right. That's what people are believing. Forget about those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice as we remember them. For those that come back with no legs, that can't stand, but they had their legs blown off literally so we could stand. But we stand for them. Some people say that they're just going to do away with the national anthem in all sports. We're just not going to even do it. We're not even going to say it anymore. And I'm thinking, if we do away with the national anthem, we don't have pride in God and country, we don't recognize the greatness and the sacrifice that those that have made before us and those that are sacrificing, then what country do we really have? This politically charged climate in society is going to destroy our country. And I think, possibly thinking about this clearly now, that our founding fathers, they had a profound thought, and it was this, and it was shared, that they believed that the destruction of America would come from within, not from foreign invaders. And as you see the craziness played out on the field, we're grown men, for God's sakes, grown men that are playing a game, are playing with our national anthem. It is highly offensive to many that wore the uniform. Highly offensive for those that lost loved ones. You might be thinking that you're doing a great thing. The NFL is doing a bad thing, allowing these players to take away from the game because it's not a fun game when you disrespect the national anthem. Now, many people will say, oh, you're making such a big deal out of it. If we don't make such a big deal out of it, they're going to start standing up for the national anthem. They're going to stop doing this. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to do that. More people are taking to the stadium with their knee at their stadiums. And now the message for kids is it's not important. The national anthem is not worth it. We don't need to stand. We don't need to be reverent. This is done out of respect. But now, these players are making a mockery out of our country, out of anybody that's worn the uniform. And I am, for one, as this American, very saddened as a result of this. Here's the Seattle Seahawks. Here's a cute picture I'm looking at. You can't see it, but you can see it online. Rob Lauder, 49ers safety Eric Reed, surrounded by teammates while kneeling for the national anthem. The entire team skipped the national anthem, but appeared arm in arm in solidarity afterward. Isn't that cute? A surreal scene in Nashville as the entire Seahawks Titans team, including coaches, staff, and all players, skip, you guessed it, our national anthem. Players come out of the locker room arm in arm after the national anthem. The Kings. Let's see, who else do we have here? The Buccaneers wide receivers, Mike Evans, 13, Deshaun Jackson, kneel during the national anthem before kickoff. The Vikings, Bucs in the NFL. At that game, the Titans not coming out for the national anthem today is a disastrous move for the franchise and the city and state, says Clay Travis on Twitter. I agree. So disrespectful. Many players locking arms. Here's another picture. Yeah, that's another picture of the Seahawks. What do you think about it, folks? I've told you my point. What do you think about it? You can sound off on Facebook at For the People Show or on Twitter, hashtag Talk to Keith Allen, Allen, A-L-A-N. What do you think about it? I'd like to hear from you today at For the People. Your thoughts. This is water cooler discussion. This is stuff that's going on here in our country, and it does seem to be an escalation of all of this. And many of the pundits and talking heads are saying, because of this, because of the aggravation, because of the distraction and everything like that, we're just not going to do the national anthem. We're not going to do it. We're not going to say it. There won't be that act of patriotism anymore. And what they don't realize by doing this very act, it is a distraction. And what Donald Trump said, to fire him, is something that should be done. Because it's disrespectful. It's not the time nor the place. I want to play a song for you, and I'm going to play it on the next segment of